Welcome to the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage, where rude mechanicals do magic. Hello, I'm Bronze Age, Director of the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage. And today we're at the lamp bench with a Stifle lamp, patent number 3231734, which is kind of remarkable. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb, but in 1879 he invented a light bulb that would last 1,200 hours. It had a bamboo filament in it that they had put through some kind of process so that it would glow when electricity ran through it. And it was for the first time you could sell someone a light bulb that they wouldn't think you just scammed them out of their money, because it didn't just go in a couple of days. In 1906, General Electric came up with the tungsten filament light bulb, which was the standard light bulb all the way up to the point of where the LED bulbs we see today started replacing it. Now, once you had a light bulb, you needed lamps. And inventors just went crazy filing patents for all kinds of new lamps, starting around 1879 and on up to about 1920. Because by then, all the really clever ideas for making a lamp had pretty much been used up. This lamp is from 1966 or maybe a little later, up into the 70s, hard to say. But it has a patent number here, which was filed in 1966. And this patent is so that you can do this. Take this off just by pulling on it. Now, before Stifle's patent, globes and diffusers such as this were held by what was called a fitter. And the fitter had 3 screws that tightened down into the neck of the glass and held it pretty tight. And for all practical purposes, it seemed to be satisfactory. But that's also meant that you had to have extra hardware, and you made this piece here. You had to drill the holes, you had to tap them out. That was a lot of machine work, and in the name of convenience as well as saving a lot of money, Stifle came up with a better idea. Stifle's idea was to do away with the screws altogether and replace them with these little springy clips that when you push this down in here, they bend down and then snap back up into the groove in the neck. Now, there are lots of people who want to own a 50-year-old lamp, but there aren't so many that want to own a 50-year-old lamp socket. So today we're going to replace all of this old hardware with new hardware. Now, this is a hickey socket, so-called because this little piece of hardware down here is called a hickey. And the socket is held onto it with a screw. Like this. And this is the replacement hickey socket, which you see has a smaller hole. Another feature of Stifle lamps is that they all have the larger size pipe. This is a 1/8 inch IP, which goes back to the days of gas lights, because when electric lights were brand new, they still had a lot of old gas hardware laying around, and so lights are lights, so they just kept using them. And this was the smallest pipe that would go up to where you had your individual little burners on your gas lights. Stifle, when they started making lamps, they used the next size up. So I'm going to have to reuse the hickey, which creates a small problem because when the hickeys are lined up, the switch is not. And I've got to get this thing so that it sticks out through this hole in the side. Not a big deal, but just takes a little bit of a special trick. Now, I prefer to use the old wire to pull the new cord through, but that will actually make installing the hickey socket a little bit more difficult, so I'll just have to worry about that later. The cord comes out through this grommet here on the back, and so that is the back of the lamp, and the key has to come out through the front. So I put this piece of tape on here to remind me. You'd be surprised how easy it is to forget that when you're trying to get everything together. Now, all threaded connections in the Secret Underground Laboratory are sealed with blue thread lock. It's a kind of an adhesive It allows me to tighten down this nut without getting it so tight that everything screams, because frankly it's really not possible to get it that tight. And the complicated part of this is it's at the bottom of this cup. And there's no real easy way to do this. But usually what I do is take a piece of tape, put it on the socket, put the nut in like this, and then fiddle with it until I've got it tightened down. And sometimes it's easier than others. Now for this part, the blue thread lock is really critical, because when I tighten this down, I've got to stop when the key is lined up with that slot. And that might not be completely tight, or as tight as I could possibly get it. But once that blue thread lock sets up, it will keep the socket from coming loose while someone's changing a bulb or something like that. Now that I'm sure the key is lined up and it's working, I got to take the socket back out. And the reason for that is the hickey socket gets wired up here, and then we pull it back down into the cup. Now there's two important steps that can't be neglected. First is to make sure that you run the wire through the grommet and the base. And get as much slack as you need. Then tie an overhand knot, because this is what's going to prevent the cord from being yanked out of the lamp if somebody trips over it in the dark. Now I use a piece of duct tape to hold the wire to the dowel, because for this kind of job, masking tape really just doesn't have enough sticky, and it's likely to come loose while you're pulling it through. To install the socket, we've got to observe two more important points. Lamp wire sold in the United States and North America that has these two pieces stuck together. One side the insulation is smooth, one side the insulation has ridges. The socket has a silver screw and a brass colored screw, and the smooth wire always goes under the brass colored screw. This is for safety reasons that are more important if you've got a lamp with a keyed socket, but it prevents you from getting shocked if you stick your finger in the lamp socket because you thought there was a bulb in there and discovered that there wasn't. Now I just have to push this down, get it lined up with the hickey. And this job is finished. Now I'm sure Stifle was proud of their patent, but I find installing this takes just a little bit more force than I'm comfortable with pushing down on this glass diffuser. And taking it off requires a little more force as well. Well, this is Bronze Age for the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage, and I thank you for watching through this video about one of the last patents issued for a lamp. I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and comments are always welcome. I'll read them all, I answer them all, and frankly, don't get that many, so it's not a big deal. Any questions about furniture or lighting, any kind of lighting repair, chandeliers, lamps, whatever you have, I'm always here to answer them. And again, thank you for watching.